I was 52 years old the first time I got on a stage and performed stand-up comedy. Now, you might ask, what in the world would cause you to do that? The story behind it is I was going to be in New York speaking at a conference, and I reached out to a friend of mine who's another professional speaker, and he's also a professional comic. And I told him I'd love to get together, and I told him what day I would be there. And he said, "Oh, I'm going to open mic that night. Why don't you come with me?" Now, my initial response was, that is really cool. I grew up going to comedy clubs. I grew up only a few miles away from the Ice House in Pasadena, California, and you only had to be 16 years old to get in. So it was a place my friends and I went almost, monthly, all through high school. And I was like, I've loved comedy. I've never been to an open mic night before. I would love to watch you work on new material. And my friend said to me, "That's not what I'm inviting you to do." Now, my initial reaction was, there is no way I am going to get up on a stage in a comedy club in New York City and do a 5-minute set in my 50s. And he said, "Why not?" He goes, "Isn't one of the things you teach when you speak and you work with clients, isn't one of the things you teach, try new things?" I sort of hate it when people throw your own content back at you as a reason to make you do something. But he was right. I do believe that you should try new things. And so I agreed that I would go and write a 5-minute set, get up on stage and perform it. And I did. Now, I'm not going to tell you it was great. Had Jerry Seinfeld been there, he would not be worried about job security. However, the process of preparing and then the fear of going up on stage to do comedy and then doing it actually opened up some doors for me inside my head where I had blocks. I think a lot of people at all ages end up in a situation where they feel stuck in life. They feel like they went down a path and it's just their path and there's no way to change it and do other things. But the older I get, the more I realize that we always can reinvent ourselves. We always can try new things. So getting up on the stage and doing that, it was exciting. It proved to me that I could do anything I wanted to do, and I didn't have to be great at it. So when I got home to Texas, I announced to my wife, I'm going to do 100 open mic nights. Now, I travel about 100 nights a year. And my wife was like, "What? You're already gone so much. We still had a kid in high school." Because "You're going to go out. How often are you going to be gone doing this?" And I said, "I'll do much of it on the road when I travel." So when I would travel to a city, I would literally look up open mic night, Cleveland, Ohio. And I would get in an Uber and I would go to a bar or a coffee house or a comedy club. And I would do a 3, 4, or 5-minute comedy set. And in the course of 2 years, I got to 95 open mic nights. Then the pandemic came along and shut everything down. My travel stopped, local bars and restaurants and clubs were closed. And so I took a year off. I didn't really think that during the pandemic, even though Texas opened up a little bit earlier, I didn't think that hanging out with a bunch of millennials who probably would lick the microphone before handing it to me, I didn't feel that was the safest of environments. But after the shot, I got out and started doing comedy again. And I've now done 134 open mic nights as of this week. And I'm continuing to push myself and learn. So really quickly, I wanted to share how I'm reinventing myself through the use of stand-up comedy. I have 7 really quick points that I'll share with you. And I hope that they inspire you to reinvent yourself with any vehicle that works for you. It doesn't have to be stand-up comedy, but stand-up comedy is a good one. The first thing was it helped me get out of my comfort zone. You see, here's the thing. I kind of grew up, my parents wanted me to be a certain way, go to college, get a job, and to do anything sort of out of that was a little bit uncomfortable. As a young kid, I wanted to be an actor, but I didn't have the guts to go and pursue it, even part-time. And so now in my 50s, I've decided, you know what? To hell with the comfort zone. I'm going to make age 50 to 75 the best years of my life. And part of that involves doing things that scare me or that are hard. The second thing is that in doing this, I was able to let out a little piece inside of me that had been locked away for a long time. There's sort of a childish fun to get up and try and make people laugh. And I think all of us have these little pieces of ourselves inside that we hide, we bury them, we put them aside, we lock them away. And doing comedy, especially 134 times, has made me look for that person inside of me that hasn't really been on the outside. So it lets me let the inside me out to shine, even if just for a little while. And I think that's really important for everybody. And thirdly, it allows me to find my inner voice. So as I let that little piece of me out and to come out and play, I also discover that that piece of me really wants to be on the outside. That inner voice wants to come out and shine. The end result of all of this experiment of me doing comedy for the last few years has allowed me. It has allowed me to let that piece of myself out, and it's allowed me to learn to be more playful and more confident in everything that I do. I don't know that I could have made as many YouTube videos as I'm now making if I hadn't put myself out there ready to fail, ready to flop into an area that really was out of my comfort zone. So it allows you to find that little piece of you inside of you. And then the third thing is to let it out into the world and let your voice shine. Number 4 is about networking. The interesting thing about going to comedy clubs and hanging out at these late night things is it's an entirely different crowd of people than I was used to hanging out with. I have met some really amazing people who never would have crossed my paths in any other facet of my life. Now, many of them are 25-year-olds who are out there working hard on the comedy circuit because they want to become professional touring comics. That's not my goal. I don't see myself, leaving my career behind and going on the road or having a Netflix special. But a lot of these young people, that's their goal. And it's fun to be around people who have that much passion. We change and grow only by what we learn through books or watching videos or listening to tapes, or we learn from the people who we meet. And the people I have met in stand-up comedy are amazing souls who have a lot of ambition, and they also have a lot of struggles. And it's letting me see the world in a different way. Number 5 is try new things is part of my motto. And by doing this, it has actually proved to me that when you try new things, when you get out there and put yourself out there and attempt things, it allows you to grow, not just in comedy, but I'm actually seeing myself be better as a professional speaker, as a podcast host, and when I make videos. And the reason for that is because I'm learning that trying new things opens up areas even outside of the actual task that you're working on. So push yourself and get out there and make sure that you're living by the motto of try new things. Because if you don't try new things, there's no way you're ever going to grow and get better. 6 is I had to be willing to fail. Sometimes when you go out there and try new things, you're going to suck at them. And I'll tell you, stand-up comedy is the hardest use of the spoken word. And it's one of the hardest art forms that are out there because you're immediately getting feedback from the audience. Oftentimes your audience is just a couple of drunk comics and a friend of theirs who came along. And if you're not funny, they're just going to stare at you and give crickets. And yet, if you can make the other comics laugh, you've done a good job. So you get instant feedback when you're doing comedy, but you have to be willing to fail. I can tell you as a professional speaker, I've never really bombed on stage. I've had days where I've been better sometimes than others and days where I've really knocked it out of the park. But doing comedy, I have literally heard crickets for the whole 5 minutes. I've had people just sort of shake their heads like, who is this old guy up on stage? Come on. But it's okay because I take it as a learning experience and I get back up there the next week and I try it again. And then the 7th thing that I'm learning from doing all of this is that if you want to start over, if you want to reinvent yourself, you absolutely can at any age. A lot of the videos that I've done on this channel have been about starting over at 50 or beyond. And it's really true. You can change areas of your life. You can baby step it, or you can pull off the Band-Aid and go all in, but there's nothing holding you back from getting out there and starting over and making your life into the life that you want to lead. If you feel like you're stuck in life, if you feel like you're stuck in a rut, push yourself into something very uncomfortable, like doing stand-up comedy, and try it and stick with it. I'm coming up on 4 years that I've been doing this. Now, you have to remove a year because of the pandemic where I didn't go to a comedy club and I didn't actually like the online version of open mic night. I found it very weird to do open mic night on Zoom when you weren't with an audience. So I took that whole year off. So it's really 3 years over a 4-year period, and I'm not going to stop anytime soon. I figure I need to do about 300 open mic nights before I'm going to break through and really reach my own abilities to be comfortable on stage and really have the learning that's coming and impacting all areas of my life really thrive. So I challenge you, if you want to reinvent yourself, get out there and try something. Try stand-up comedy, try anything that pushes you out of your comfort zone, and look for things that a little voice inside of you says, I wish I had done that, or I want to do that, or I could do that. and follow that voice and get out there and make the next years of your life the best years of your life.